All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in your day. Welcome back to the Wealth Reimagined podcast on the Family Bloodline Network. I'm your host, Maya Kay, and so glad to be back with you. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. Hope you were celebrating. We just had our Juneteenth celebrations. I don't know what city you may be in, but amazing times, amazing food, amazing fellowship, as always. And so, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Monday, and it's Monday. It's Monday. But here we are getting even more money advice, money talks, all of that, right? Because, I just want to be sure this is a community that knows you have someone in your corner, and we are going to learn together. We are going to grow together. We are going to build together. And there is no, better topic than to talk about financial dreams versus financial goals. And I thought of this topic because I I know a lot of financial dreamers. I know people who will talk to you for decades about something that they're going to do and they want to do, right? And I'm sure we've all been there. We've all been there for a time or for specific things, where we're just dreaming, and we have this desire to do something, but we don't really have a timeline. We don't really have a timeline in place, or really, you know, making an actionable plan, right? And that's really the difference. That's the difference between a financial dreamer and someone that's setting financial goals. Financial goals would be a bit more structured and actionable, and have deadlines. It's not just some forever and ever type approach. You are having an end date, so to speak. So today I really want to get into, how do you turn your dream into an actual goal? And it honestly isn't as difficult as you may think, right? And so this episode is really for that person who has leverage in their budget. That is why, again, I will probably say it on every episode, but budget is non-negotiable. You have to do the budget so you know and understand where you are. You have to. You have to. And what we're going to talk about today will still apply even if you don't have your budget where it needs to be, or where it can be, or where it should be, and there's still adjustments that need to be made. I think this will still be applicable. So I mentioned, I believe, during Financial Literacy Month, about an approach that oftentimes is used in the corporate world. You may be familiar with it. Depending on where you are in life, you may not be familiar with it, and that's okay. But there is an approach called setting SMART goals. And I actually worked on a little slide, so bear with me. I'm going to try to cue this up because I made this slide so we could talk about SMART goals. So this is actually an acronym, SMART, to help you remember specific components of goal setting. Okay. And it's funny I said specific because the S is specific. You want your goal to be clear. You want it to not just be like a dream, right? We're getting away from dreaming about a financial goal, and we're going to actually make it actionable. So you want it to be clear. You want it to be specific. You want it to not be vague. You're going to get down to the nitty gritty, as they say. Okay. So the S stands for specific. And we'll do some examples later for, showing you what a non-specific financial goal would be versus one that is more specific and more actionable. But we're going to wait and do that at the end, because that actionable goal needs to include all of these components. So the M stands for measurable. And the measurable part just means that the goal should have some type of metric or number or target, some type of way for you to be able to see that you are on track or not. So that is making the goal measurable. And all good goals, actionable goals, should have that component. If it doesn't, you may need to get a bit more specific in that goal. So the A stands for achievable. So here, this is when we need to be realistic. This is when you need to actually look at your budget, because we're talking about finances, and that first step in knowing what you are able to do. Remember, we talked about that, and changing that mindset around a budget and a spending plan. This lets you know exactly what you're able to do. So even if you don't have things where you want them to be, and you're not necessarily happy with where you are, you can still be doing something. But you want to be realistic. You want to be realistic in that approach. You want to be realistic about where you are and what you can actually do. So being realistic based off of also on what you know about yourself. What do you know about yourself? What do you know about your energy level? What do you know about your capacity? What do you know about your resources or your constraints? There may be things about yourself that you have to also incorporate in that goal setting. If you're like, oh, so I can do this, I will add on extra 20 hours a week to my work week so I can make extra money. You may not have 20 extra hours a week. I know I'm a single parent. I don't have 20 extra hours a week. I haven't had 20 extra hours a week in years. Now I may get some extra time, extra hours, because now my children are either grown or will be about to be of a driving age. That frees up a lot of hours for me that I'm not teen Uber. And my child will be able to get herself to and from things that for the last 16 years, right, have had to do for her. So it's being realistic. We have to be realistic when we want to set a goal that's achievable. Okay. The R stands for relevant. This has to be important to you. I mean, otherwise, why were you dreaming it? Why did you dream it? It could be as simple of a dream of, I want to live abroad, or I want to travel abroad. I don't have a passport. Well, look up how much the passport costs and set a goal, an achievable goal at that. So it's all about, why is it important to you? And is it something that aligns with a greater financial dream or vision that you have for your life? So be sure when you are setting that action plan, it's relevant to what you have going on either now or it's relevant to the vision you have and aligns with the vision that you have for your life. And last but certainly not least, the T stands for time bound. This, to me, is the most important step. You need to put an end date on goals. Otherwise, you're going to be doing this forever. It needs an end date. There needs to be a deadline. There needs to be a stopping point. That will help you be very clear also. That will also help you with financial boundaries because you have a specific goal that you need to achieve by a certain time. The time-bound piece for me, the icing on the cake. And that's why I don't, the whole New Year's resolution thing, where, oh, I got a year to do this. I think it's better to break that up into shorter time frames. Yes, you have a year, but there's either quarters or trimesters in that year. Break it up sooner so you stay focused. If you got the whole year to do something, you might put it off. That may be why you're a dreamer, because you have allowed yourself way too much time to achieve this. It could probably be done in 3 months. It could probably be done in 4 months. It could probably be done in 6 months. Yes, there are some things that you would want to maybe have a year goal, but there are probably quite a few things that you know that you are probably thinking of right now. I don't care if it's not a financial goal, it's a home project. It's a certain call you need to make to a company to get something switched over. You do not need 12 months to do the majority of the things that you probably are procrastinating to do. So the time-bound piece, to me, icing on the cake, that to me it's the one that a lot of people miss. Because what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Let's get it done. Let's get a deadline. Let's get this goal done. Check the box. So, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And anytime I hear the word smart, or I know somebody is smart, or they're doing something smart, think of this guy. I just had to put that in there because smart. Let me be like him. Smart. So SMART goals. SMART goals, I believe if you apply this to a financial dream, you can change it to an actual financial goal that is truly achievable, truly attainable, because now you've made it actionable. Okay. So I'm going to take that off and get this back together. Okay. So I jotted down 4 examples so that you can have practical examples on what would be an acceptable SMART goal and what is not an acceptable SMART goal. And this is just more of a dreamer statement. Okay. So example number 1 is, I want to get out of debt. Great goal, right? That's a great thing. That's actually a great dream. I want to get out of debt, but there's no action behind that. What's the plan? So a more acceptable SMART goal would be, I will pay off my lowest balance credit card, or it probably would be, let's just act like that lowest balance is $300, right? But we're being specific. I will pay off my lowest balance credit card in full by October 31st. So we could actually make this even more specific. So I threw out $300. And this is actually a very important exercise. So it is currently June. This is actually a really important step in this. So it's June, July, August, September, October, 4 months away. We set a $300 balance. Usually you're going to get 2 paychecks, right? On a credit card, you also have your minimum balance that you have to pay. So if you have a $300 balance, we don't care what the minimum is as long as this number is at least that, but it's probably going to be more. Then I said that's you get about 2 checks. And so let's just say $40, because 300 divided by 8 is $37.50. I'm just doing it on my phone. $37.50. We'll just round it up to 40, right? So to make this even more specific, I will pay off my fill in the blank credit card with a $300 balance by sending $40 every payday and have this paid off by October 31st. That would be more specific. That would be a SMART goal. Specific, measurable, $40 every paycheck, right? It's achievable. $40 depending on your budget, because some people's budget, they may be upside down, right? And so you would have this goal would have to come later. So $40 for most is achievable. Relevant, absolutely. Getting out of debt, you don't want debt, especially not revolving credit card debt. You don't want to be carrying that. So it's absolutely relevant, because debt strips you from being able to do so much, especially credit card debt. I know, because I was in it. I was in some credit card debt. Oh, wee. And what actually woke me up with my credit card debt was moving up and having more opportunities in my career and maybe making a little bit more money here and there. But I was still struggling. And I said, this don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. Why am I still struggling like this, but I'm making a little bit more money? Now, yes, the cost, there's inflation. I'll just sum it up. Yes, there is inflation. Yes, the cost of living goes up every year. The cost of goods go up every year. Yes, those things happen. Yes. But what doesn't have to be a constant in my life, and it does not have to be a constant in your life either, is debt. Debt does not have to be a part of your financial journey. It does not. And so it's a very relevant goal. So, and then the time bound piece of that goal is that I have a deadline, October 31st. So that's example number 1. Example number 2 that I wrote down is, I want to build my savings. Again, a good goal to have, but that is a dream the way that it is written down. I want to build my savings. I'm going to build my savings up. It's not actionable. I want to build my savings. That's a dream. Okay. So we can make this a SMART goal, by saying, I will save $1,000 by setting up automatic transfers of $40 per paycheck for 1 year. So for about $40, if this is assuming you're paid bi-weekly. So you got 26 pay periods in the year. You can save $1,000. And think about it. Think about, this is something that I thought about later, like too late in life. $40, when you first start working, $40 per check is not much compared to what you're going to go do with your check when you're newly working, right? So had I at least been doing $1,000 a year, which you could be doing way better than that, right? But if I had been doing at least $1,000 a year, and I think about how long I've been in the work field, I've been in the workforce, right? And I was like, dang, if I would have just did the $1,000 a year. So for my job, I've been in about 24 years. I would have had $24,000, right? $24,000, depending on what you do with it, could be so much more. So much more, because it should not just be sitting in a regular old savings account. It could be getting invested. It could at minimum be in a high yield savings account. So just being able to break those goals down into a smaller chunk makes it very much more achievable. But that I use the $1,000 example because the $1,000, remember, is your starter emergency fund. And so if you don't have that yet, which I highly, highly, highly encourage you to get it, because that $1,000 starter emergency fund is your ticket to stop using credit cards. We want to get away from using credit cards incorrectly. Credit cards have a purpose in your financial tool belt. They do. But you got to use them correctly. And so if you're carrying debt on a credit card, that means you're not using it correctly. And you are in debt. You are in revolving credit card debt. The worst kind. Interest rate out of control. They tell you your minimum payment is going to take you 15 years to pay it off if you just send them that minimum. And now the CFPB has required them to disclose that to you. Okay, yay. If you only make the minimum payment, it's going to take you 18 years to pay this back. Because nobody was doing the math, right? You spent the money. I don't even want to say you spent the money, because it wasn't your money. It was an accessible loan. It's a little loan on a card. You swipe the card. Now you owe the credit card company that money because it was a loan, a very expensive high interest loan. That's why credit cards are supposed to be used where if you charge on it, you pay it off at the end of the month. Then you don't pay interest. But they knew, oh, we can make some money off of this. And so let's go ahead and tempt people with this and buy now, pay it later. Hey, even get them a little discount to throw it on there. Because, they might buy a little more if they know they're going to get that 10% for opening this card. It's all a game. It's all a game. So that $1,000 example was done on purpose because I really want you to get out of the habit of using your credit card incorrectly. I'm not saying you should never have a credit card. That's not what I'm saying. But I do want you to use them correctly and not sabotage not only your financial dreams, but your financial goals. All right. So the third one that I wrote down is I'm going to save up for a vacation. I'm going to save up for a vacation. It's a nice dream. A great goal. We all need a vacation. We could all use a vacation. I could definitely use a vacation. So I'm going to save up for a vacation. To make that a smart goal, a financial goal, and not just a dream, I will save $3,000 for vacation by setting up automatic transfers of $250 per month for 1 year. For 1 year. And, you know, if you are a single household, that may seem like a lot, depending on how all your other numbers or line items are coming together in your budget. It might be doable. When you have someone to work with, you are partnered or you have a spouse, and you can work together, because a lot of times that's the challenge, is getting two people who likely have two different styles when it comes to finances. Generally, one person is the saver and one person is the spender. Generally. But if you can work together and you set these goals, these dreams that you have together could actually become a reality because you have an actionable goal in place. So I will save $3,000 for a vacation by setting up automatic transfers of $250 per month for 1 year. And then you got your $3,000. And depending on where you put that, high yield savings account, you're going to hear me start saying that a lot more. Throw it in a high yield savings account to grow a little faster for you. And all high yield savings accounts are not created equal. So the last example that I had is, just checking my time, is I want to buy a home someday. I want to buy a home someday. Okay. That sounds like a nice financial dream. But we could definitely make this an actionable financial goal. And so what I wrote down is I will save $400 each month for 4 years for a $19,200 down payment. Okay, so let's check it up against the model here. Is it specific? I believe that's pretty specific. $400, 48 times. I'll have 1920, measurable, the 1920. I'll be able to see how close I'm getting to 1920, or what month am I on? What month am I on? That both of those are ways to measure. Because if you're doing the $400, you're going to come out the same whether you look at it from the dollar amount or the month you're on, right? The math is mathing, okay? Is it achievable? I believe so. 4 years. Yeah. I believe 4, if you approach it in 4 years. I recently told my daughter that, I want you to really think about buying your first property before you're 30. And so, depending on, I was like, it don't have to be a house. It could be a condo. It could be a condo. It could be a half of a duplex or something like that. But I want you to really think about ownership. I want you to be thinking about owning property much younger than I was. And I want you to achieve that, your first property, before you're 30. And so depending on how much time you have, yeah. But 4 or 5 years to save up a down payment, so you could have like your 20% or even a nice down payment. I think $20,000 is an amazing down payment. then yeah, very much so achievable. Relevant, again, absolutely. I know there's a lot of, is renting better for you or is buying better for you? And I can't answer that for you. But I would say, please consider homeownership. Consider homeownership. And I think I'll do an episode one day about why I think you should do homeownership. There's many positives that come with it. There's many drawbacks that comes with homeownership. But then there's also many things that, depending on where you buy, there's a lot of ways that your home impacts your community. And I really want to dig into that. So I would say, please consider homeownership. But I think I'll do an episode about it, just my thoughts, my opinions. Take it or leave it, right? But my thoughts, my opinions on ownership of a home. So the $400 a month, depending on your budget, right? And even if this is just an example, but even if you could only do $200 a month, there's so many programs out there where you don't necessarily need a 20% down payment. You may only need a 3.5%. You may not need a down payment. They got programs like that too. So relevant, absolutely. I think it's relevant. My opinion, homeownership versus renting. I think it's very much relevant. I think you should definitely consider it if you're not. You're making the payment anyway. Rent is high. Rent is high nowadays. And if it's cheap, it's probably not in a great area where you're not, it may have some safety challenges. We'll just say that. It could have some safety challenges, right? And that's more for the young folks. The young folks that's out here I'm going to get me an apartment and all that, and all I can afford is this. Well, baby, let me tell you, it's a reason why it's affordable. And you might want to consider an extra 150. Can you swing an extra 200 for a little peace of mind? So you don't got to worry as much about stuff. Crime happens everywhere. It happens everywhere, I know. But it might mitigate the amount depending, right? So anyway, my opinion, take it or leave it. And is that time bound? It absolutely is, because I said 4 years. You can make it 5 years. You can make it 2 years. It really, again, it just depends on you and what your budget allows. And being relevant is also a part of being realistic. What can you do? Are you able to save up more aggressively because you don't have as much debt, or you don't have as many responsibilities yet? If you're a young person, are you still staying at home? And so you can be super aggressive. Even if it's 4 years, you could maybe do more than $400 a month because you stay home. You don't have anything. You're not paying for anything other than what you want to. And so make this something you want to do. Get your property. Get you a condo. Get your condo. It's yours. You own it. You're already making a payment. You might as well be building equity in something that is yours. So that's really all I have, and that's my time. I'm a little over on time, but I hope this was helpful. If there was anything you got out of this episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone, because again, I just want to be in your corner. I want to create a community where the foundation blocks are built. The foundation blocks are built so that you can achieve true financial peace and wealth. And once you have those financial blocks in place, you would be so surprised how easy things will come. But you have to do your part. You have to do your part. You can't just sit back and dream. You can't just sit back and oh, I wish, and it would be so nice. And one day I think I will. You got to put action behind it. You have to put action behind it. You got to show up and put some skin in the game and do your part so that you can reach your financial goals. So with that, I will let you go on with the rest of your Monday. And again, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me and listening and just, starting a week out thinking about, the money and the spending and the savings a little differently. Go ahead and set some goals if you haven't, think of 3 maybe financial goals that you want to do. And then pick the one that's the most attainable and knock it out first. It's always good to experience a win. So the one that's the most attainable, the easiest to do, do it. Do it. List it out, write it out as a SMART goal, and knock it out. Knock it out the park. So that's my time. I'm your host, Maya K. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.